Guess I get to see it with my own eyes. Jackpot. Devil may cry.
What's going on, guys? RBG here, hitting you up with a video on something you've heard a few days ago, and it's the recent confirmation that Devil May Cry will be getting another anime adaptation in the near future. This news literally came out of nowhere, but it couldn't have come at a perfect time, because we've already been getting a slew of information regarding Devil May Cry 5, and I've been trying to provide as much coverage as possible. And this newly announced anime only adds to that. So this video is basically giving you everything you need to know about it with a couple of theories and wishes I want to see in it. But before we get into that, I want to remind you that this video is sponsored by Maono. Since you guys have supported this channel, I've linked up with Maono to give you their brand new gaming mouse. It features a high FPS rate, 7 different switches such as the back and forward button, an adjustable DPI, micro switches back with LED lights, and much more. The shipping and handling averages around $5 depending on your location. The link will be in the description box below, so make sure you jump on that while the offer still lasts. But anyways, let's talk about the exciting yet head-scratching announcement, because there have been a couple of factors that have left fans confused. Adi Shankar, the film producer who's brought us so many cult classic movies, announced that Capcom has given him the rights to adapt DMC into an anime for Netflix. And this totally came out of left field because we're just coming off the success of a more recent project, Castlevania, a series that premiered last year to both critical and commercial success, confirming the release of a second season and eventually a third due to its popularity. And that success has been well warranted because Castlevania has served as a great example of how to adapt video games the right way. Although the first season was nothing more than a 4-episode pilot, it did enough to get fans hyped for more. For its time, the first season was one of the most popular digital original series in the US, generating over 23 million demand expressions, which is insane. And I think that's largely due in part to Adi Shankar's ability to breed more awesomeness into something that's already awesome. Like, him and the directors know that they need to inject certain things that captivate filmgoers just enough without completely ruining the lore. So Shankar is undoubtedly a rock star in his own right, and fans trust him the most to handle their favorite franchises. And I know he comes off as this awkward, pretentious individual, but I think it's just his confidence seeking through. The guy's a freaking genius and has put out so many cult classics. There are even some fans who are waiting for a follow-up to his Dread reboot. I could go on all day about how awesome this guy is, but I think you get my point. He's announced that he plans on doing a DMC series for Netflix, but the thing that has people a little confused is the announcement that it'll be part of a multiverse. This means existing shows like Castlevania or any further adaptations will potentially cross over. And it's kind of crazy to think about because not only do Castlevania and DMC come from different gaming genres, they're licensed by 2 separate companies. So this is a lot to process. Now granted, DMC's parent company Capcom is no stranger to collaborating with other companies. Their flagship Nomad character Ryu has been featured in a slew of crossovers. They're literally the king of crossovers. So it's not much of a stretch as many think. Now when it comes to the entertainment genre of both series, it's pretty much a match made in heaven. The Castlevania Netflix series has pretty much shown that it's heavily rooted in action horror with blood and gore, and as we all know, Devil May Cry is arguably the godfather of stylish action splashed with horror. But nonetheless, it shares similar narrative elements with Castlevania, because they both feature demons of all sizes. This is something that the design team and animators are going to go crazy with, because all of the demons in Castlevania were taken from the games and were brutal as hell. I mean, I've seen some serious gore fest in the anime, but damn, this one really takes it to another level. One of the things I don't see crossing over quite well is its time differences, because all of the Vania franchise takes place in the 14 to early 1900s with the exception of games like Dawn of Sorrow that are set in the distant future. And as we all know, DMC has for the most part been set in a very modern era. Like, there are a few spots that harp on the periods where Sparda was still alive, and I'm assuming that if we are to go back to those time periods, that's what Adi and the writers will do, because Sparda has always been a very thread-based character that's dying to be fleshed out. I think I speak for all the fans when I say that he's the only thing in the DMC series that hasn't been done right. What was his personality like? When did he grow compassion for humans? When did he meet Dante and Virgil's mother Eva? There are so many things that have yet to be unveiled with this enigmatic character. Not only that, but there are a lot of story elements from the main cast that have yet to be displayed in the games, like the unused concepts from the novel and manga that go by unnoticed. One of the biggest examples being Dante's friendship with Nell Goldstein that's just now being referenced in DMC5. Now granted, some of these concepts have been retconned by the games, like the character of Gilver, who's basically Virgil in disguise. For the longest time, it made sense that he would be hiding his identity after being taken over by Mundus, but after Devil May Cry 3 came out, it did contradict a lot of pre-established canon, making the character of Gilbert an afterthought. But this doesn't necessarily have to be the case for the Netflix series. As I mentioned, they go out of their way to take creative liberties of cross-pollinating elements from all the games and different source materials. For example, Isaac in Season 2 of Castlevania is a far cry from his pale androgynous version from Curse of Darkness, and that turned out quite well. Like, he was still big into self-mortification and his character motivations were far more believable. It's also important to remind you guys that these shows aren't canon to the main storylines, so the production team can do what they want with the source material. And I got a feeling that they're going to tell a compelling story that'll undoubtedly supersede the anime we got back in 2007, because that show was kind of underwhelming. Not to say that it was bad, because it definitely had some cool moments and the animation team at Madhouse did an exceptional job, but my god, the story was uneventful as shit. And I think it's largely due in part to the show's director, who's the same guy who did the 2016 Berserk series, and we all know how that turned out. And it's kind of ironic because Adi Shankar recently talked about how he would love to give a proper adaptation to Berserk after the 2016 director ruined it so much. So once again, this just goes to show that Shankar is a very passionate guy. He's like one of us. He's one of those guys who really loves the source material and the video games and want to see them be treated properly. One thing that made me get behind him is when he flat out stated that he wants to get these popular properties away from Hollywood heads who only want to milk them for money. Like, that really speaks volumes. But anyways, as far as the art direction goes, I think it's safe to assume that it'll have a similar aesthetic as Castlevania, since they're said to exist in this multiverse. I know there's been a bit of a debate if the Netflix Vania series should be even considered an anime or not, since it's not necessarily done by an actual Japanese anime studio. It's actually being done by Powerhouse Animation, a studio based in Austin, Texas that's been working with video game designers for years. Like, they produce some of the best CG FMV cutscenes for games like Mortal Kombat X and DC Universe Online, but they specialize in producing traditional 2D animation. So I guess I can't flat out label it an anime, but Japanese animators were indeed part of the staff. I'm hoping that the animation in the DMC series is as good as it is in Castlevania. Anime and cartoons in general have become so digitized in the recent years, and cell animation is almost non-existent. But the people at Powerhouse Animation and Adi Shankar seem like they want to stay true to that classical 2D animated style. But anyways, I'm just hoping that they actually cover things that fans want to know about. I'm very interested in seeing more about Dante and Virgil's childhood in particular, things that the manga only seem to really harp on. I know DMC Devil May Cry used some of the concepts like Virgil being at his mother's gravestone, and a brief shot of Dante and Virgil sword fighting as kids. But as you can see by this picture of Adi, the executive producer, he's cosplaying as Dante, and the outfit consists of different versions of clothing Dante has worn throughout the various games. One of the most noticeable things is his amulet. It's obviously not the main canon amulet we've seen in the first two games, it's from the reboot, so this just gives you an idea that he might take things from all of the DMC games if he wants. But anyways, I could go on and on. I just want to give my thoughts as well as an idea of how the animated show will pan out. It's still not confirmed that Powerhouse Animation Studios will be working on it like they did for Castlevania. I'm just assuming it'll be done in a similar fashion. Or they'll find some other studio who specializes in 2D cell animation. But enough about my thoughts, I want to know what you think. Are you excited about DMC getting an animated series? And do you think it should be canon? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on my channel. But if you really enjoyed the video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it on social media outlets with all your friends and followers. Sharing really makes a difference. But anyways, this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.